Ladies and gentlemen, it has finally happened, the moment all of us have been waiting for. Well, at least most of us. The Garden update has finally released to the Hypixel Alpha network, and I am incredibly excited to show it off. My name is Derailious, welcome back to Skyblock News, and let's launch right into it. Starting off here, we have to talk about what Skyblock Garden actually is, and the answer is that it's basically just a separate private island for you and whoever's on your co-op. If you speak to Sam, who starts off on your main private island, you can come to this garden location, and she'll tell you a few things. Notably, that you'll need to get some compost, which you need to do at this composter, and also that you need to get a plot, which you can access at this desk. How this essentially works is that you can create plots that have different crops on them. As you can see, I can make right now, at least, a wheat and carrot plot, and this crop will automatically be placed on this garden island, or in this garden plot. As well, while this plot is pasting, carrots will be automatically consumed from my inventory and planted on the plot up to a maximum of 7,896 carrots. What this essentially means is that the days of building massive farms on your island is over, and now it's all going to be done through these plots, which are actually really cool. Moving over to the composter, this is really how you're going to get started here. You can insert fuel, which is basically just biofuel, and bulk crops in order to fill up these meters. If both of these meters are filled, then you'll start getting compost from the middle. You can actually access a cheap overall fuel source by going over to the Sky Mart, which is located in the desk. As you can see, biofuel is here for 20k coins each. You buy some of this, you shove it in the composter, and you get some compost. On top of this, there are a bunch of other items here that I think people will really like, notably the Builder's Ruler, which seems like a 2.0 version of the Builder's Wand, for some copper, which we'll get into in a minute. On top of this, we have Sunder, which gives you farming fortune on axes, the Lotus set of equipment, which gives you a lot of farming fortune, and also increases your farming fortune depending on how many garden visitors you have, which I will get into in a minute, and 4 different types of tools, gardening hose and gardening axes. Top of this, the rest of these are all just barn skins. Essentially, if you want to change out how your barn looks, this is how you'll do it. If I head outside, I can show you what the crop actually looks like on the plot. This is a wheat plot. Some of it was planted with some wheat in my inventory, and as you can see, it's planting right now. I decided to paste one over the old one just to show you guys how it works. Essentially, what this does is it plants and places over this main plot. This is what your plot is going to look like before. It's going to be covered in trees. You're going to want to clean it out a little bit, and then you'll eventually end up with something like this, just a flat, nice, open piece of land for you to farm on. That's not all, however, because there's also a bunch of NPCs here. If you click on them, you'll actually be able to sell them gear or items for a certain amount of farming XP, garden experience, copper, and items. Copper is the material or coins sort of on the island. Essentially, this allows you to upgrade pretty much everything on the island, and many of these will be more valuable than others. As you can see, Madame Eleanor is going to give you a lot more of the copper material than, Rusty will, and she'll give you 75 garden experience compared to his, 2. Heading back inside, there's a bunch of things you can do with this garden experience, notably leveling up your garden level. As you can see, leveling up gives you access to other crops, going all the way through to every single crop that's currently in the game, as well as crop upgrades and Skyblock XP. On top of this, if I go over to the garden milestone, you can see that there are crop milestones, which give you garden XP and farming experience, and also the visitor milestones for getting all the unique visitors unlocked. As you can see, there's a visitor's logbook here, which you can see basically every single Skyblock, NPC that you can talk to is visible and able to be talked to into the garden. It's going to be a cool sort of side quest type of deal. On top of this, if I go over to crop upgrades, you can upgrade every single type of crop with up to 45 extra farming fortune for a lot of overall copper. Basically, how the garden is going to work is that you're going to be stuck in this sort of loop where you have to get more crops, get more items, sell them to the NPCs that you can see standing behind me, make more crops, and so on and so forth. It's actually really fun, and I think it's genuinely going to be very interesting once we're on the main network and we're actually able to use the Bazaar to help us. And for Iron Man players, I think this is also going to be beneficial, as it's going to allow them to gain access to a bunch of things that they might otherwise not have, and have a much better time in the Jacobs contests than they otherwise would. While currently there is no new crops, there are a few new recipes that I want to go over, notably a new set of armor, which I think is pretty interesting. Melon armor. As you can see, farming wheat, carrot, and potatoes has a 0.03% chance of dropping a crappie. Now, I don't really know what a crappie is, but it seems like it will be fairly relevant to this whole update. And as you can see, you can craft it with a bunch of enchanted melon blocks. On top of this, if I go over to the first page, there's a box of seeds, which you can make with a bunch of enchanted seeds. Nothing really special about this, it's just a box of seeds. On top of all of that, though, if I go into my collections and I go into rabbit, which I don't actually have yet, you can see that there is a rabbit armor. You can craft this with a bunch of enchanted rabbit hide, enchanted rabbit feet, and essentially you get a bunch of farming fortune for doing so, including some farming fortune for getting the full set, which seems pretty nice. Overall, this update has potential to be one of the best ones in a while, with a lot of new content for early game and mid game players, and perhaps even some content for end game players if you continue to level up your garden and get access to new NPCs. I'm really excited about this. It adds some long-term content for the game, something to do in the background when you're busy grinding or you're doing something else. Maybe you'll decide, hey, I want to check out my garden for a little bit. You can come back here, you can farm a little bit, you can see your NPCs, and then you can leave again. Really wonderful stuff. Although there is no new crops yet, I wouldn't be that surprised if there was new crops with the Garden Update Part 2, which is coming soon. And after this, you know what this means. We're getting the Wizard Portal update next, which is incredibly exciting for pretty much everyone who's been waiting for about 2 years. At the end of the day, though, my name's Derailious. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. Join my Discord down below for giveaways and updates. And look to the future, fellas, because I will see you then.